Hello well-wishers and welcome to my channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, we are going to discuss in detail the story The Boss Came to Dinner, written by Bhisham Sahni. So grab your virtual seats and let's begin. Bhisham Sahni is a renowned Hindi writer, playwright and actor. He is best known for his novel Tamas, which explores the impact of communal riots in the pre-partition Punjab. He has received prestigious awards, including the Sahitya Akademi Fellowship in the year 2002. So let us at a glance quickly see who are the main characters in the story. There are 4 in total. We have Mr. Shamnath. He is the protagonist or the central character, and he is very curious to please his American boss and is faced with a challenge of managing his traditional family dynamics because Mr. Shamnath also has his elderly mother at home. Next we have Mrs. Shamnath. She is Mr. Shamnath's wife and is actively involved in the preparations for the boss's dinner. We have the character the mother. She is an elderly mother and she is representing the traditional values. She is a traditional woman with unique habits and becomes the central figure in the story. And of course we have the boss. He is the American boss of Mr. Shamnath, whose visit to Mr. Shamnath's house becomes a changing point, a turning point in the story. Now, The Boss Came to Dinner is a psychological exploration of human character. It exposes or tries to analyze the working of the mind of human beings in everyday situations. The narrative focuses on Mr. Shamnath's anxiety to impress his American boss, who he has invited for dinner. The story is going to discuss the tension between traditional values and modern day situations, with a central conflict that arises around Mr. Shamnath's attempts to please his boss while dealing with the presence of his elderly mother in the house. So now let's discuss the story in details. We see that the story opens where Mr. Shamnath has already invited his American boss for dinner and he is going to be accompanied by his wife. Now, because even in our house when a guest comes, there is extensive cleaning and all kinds of preparations that are done at home. So similar is the situation of Mr. and Mrs. Shamnath, who are going crazy preparing the entire house. And this is not a normal guest. First of all, he is a boss who's coming home, and secondly, he is an American, a person who is representing Western thoughts, Western ideas, Western culture. Now the focus is on creating a good impression, a favorable impression on the boss, so that Mr. Shamnath can get a promotion. Now, a problem arises in front of the couple, that is, they overlook the presence of Mr. Shamnath's elderly mother until late in the preparations. They had been so busy, there is a description of how the wife is getting everything ready, and they forget about what are they going to do with the mother, as if she's a commodity. Right now, at this time, the mother's role is defined. Mr. Shamnath comes up with a strategy to have his mother finish her meal very early, and then she is going to be shut up in a room so that she is not coming in front of the guests, and Mr. Shamnath can avoid any form of embarrassment. The wife at this time suggests sending the mother to the neighbors, but Mr. Shamnath rejects the idea because Mr. Shamnath wouldn't even like the idea of how his mother would go and interact with the neighbors, and maybe something which is an important detail, a secret of the house, would get revealed to the neighbors. Now Mr. Shamnath comes up with an innovative solution. What is it? He comes up with a plan that his mother is going to be put in the veranda and she is going to be there and not be allowed to come out, so that she will not be considered a part of the household. No one will think that she belongs to this house, because Mr. Shamnath was embarrassed to present his mother to the boss. At the same time, dress code instructions are also given. He gives a detailed instruction to his mother regarding what is it that she's supposed to wear, What kind of behavior is she going to carry out? And if at all, what is the interaction that will be there with the boss by the mother? All that is taught to her on spot. It is the mother who generally teaches the children, but you can see how role reversal is happening, and the emphasis is continuously made to avoid any kind of embarrassment. There should be nothing that should be done on the mother's end to embarrass the children, so that the evening can be a smooth one without any kind of difficulties or troubles. And remember, mostly it is Mr. Shamnath who is doing all this with his own mother, while Mrs. Shamnath had been crazy and busy preparing the house for the dinner party. After all the instructions have been given to the mother, the house, the food, everything has been prepared, the dinner event starts unfolding, and successfully the boss expresses a lot of happiness and pleasure on looking at the arrangements, and he starts engaging in a kind of a jovial conversation. He's enjoying his time. However, situation is always not going to be in favor. There is an unexpected twist, because as the guests move to the veranda, Mr. Shamnath is shocked to find his mother asleep with loud snores. He had instructed his mother not to even sleep, because when she would snore, it would cause disturbance. It would be a kind of embarrassment. But the mother, you can imagine, had been kept here waiting for such a long time, and being in the old age, she ends up sleeping and snoring, doing exactly what she had been instructed not to do. Now at this time, there is a lot of embarrassment. Mr. Shamnath tries to handle the situation, but the boss and the other guests are ultimately able to witness this entire scene of the mother being asleep in the veranda. Now the boss at this time interferes, and he creates a change, because he starts showing interest in the traditional art of fulkari. Now the boss is not just interested with the art of fulkari, but mother at this time is asked to sing. She starts singing a traditional song which becomes the highlight of the evening, which makes the boss further impressed on his visit to this employee's house. Now ultimately, what do we see? The boss shows interest in worn out fulkari. That piece of fulkari was no longer at its best, but still he was very happy, leading to Mr. Shamnath promising a new one to be made by his mother. Now the story ends with Mr. Shamnath's realization of how his mother unexpectedly added a turning point to the evening, an evening which was more or less going fine. The boss had been impressed by the arrangements, by the food and everything, but he was extremely happy when he was able to witness traditional art. Now you need to see that this is how we see Western culture is not just about being full of themselves. The Western culture also has an interest for traditional forms of art, and that is exactly what we see happening in the story as well. So what are the things that come out from a reading of the story? First is generational conflict or gap. The story explores the conflict between traditional values, which are represented by the elderly mother, and the modern aspirations embodied by Mr. Shamnath. He has changed with the changing times. His thoughts have become modern, but there are people in the world who are still tied to the roots. They still believe that traditional things, traditional cultures and values do have an importance in a person's life, and it is the American boss ultimately who brings about this realization in Mr. Shamnath. Next, we see societal expectations. Now the story highlights how human beings often face a pressure in order to behave in a certain way, to be able to please people in the society. Mr. Shamnath and his wife had been preparing the house, thinking that the American boss will have high aspirations, high hopes when he comes over here, and he wanted to impress him. That shows that, a person is going out of the box, going out of the way just to impress someone so that they can behave in the Western way, in the way the society is expecting them to behave. And ultimately, we also see a role reversal happening where the elderly mother becomes a source of salvation for Mr. Shamnath, a source of realization for Mr. Shamnath, emphasizing how unpredictable family dynamics can be. He was not even valuing his mother, a mother who has given birth to him, has brought him up, has made him who he is today. And see how it is ultimately a mother's love that saves him from any kind of embarrassment and further adds to his promotion and well-being. So you see how a mother is such an important figure. So that's it from this video. I hope you liked it. Do hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel for more such future updates. Thank you for watching. Bye.